If you have a lot of funds in a single account, it's too much of power concentration on that one secret key. If you lose the key or someone gets hold of it, you might lose all the funds in that account. You don't want that to happen, right? So we can make an account more secure by implementing multi-signing. I'll create 3 more XRPL accounts. These accounts can be activated or even not activated accounts. And I'll set a rule that says you will need signatures from at least 2 of these 3 keys to make a transaction from this main account. And I'll disable the master key of this main account. Now these 3 keys can be with 3 different people holding it in different wallets, or you yourself managing it, or some kind of mixture of both. For example, I can have one key in my wallet and maybe another key with a family member or a friend or a multi-sig provider. Now this family member or friend or a multi-sig service provider cannot withdraw funds as they only have one key, and this main account requires at least 2 keys to make any transaction. If it's a server you have set up, you can have a whitelisted address or location from where the request is coming from, etc. It's left to you or multi-sig provider to set up these safety rules similar to that of a credit card company. And I'll have one key in a safety locker. Just in case I lose my key, I'll use this key as a backup key. Even if someone gets hold of my lost key, they cannot do much with it as my main account needs at least 2 keys to sign any of its transactions. So suppose I lose my wallet. Now I'll take out my backup key and then make a transaction to remove this lost key from the signer list and assign a new key. That way the lost key is not even a security threat. So in general, multi-signing requires more parties to sign a transaction before submitting it to the ledger. Now let's look at multi-signing with respect to XRP Ledger and some of the rules XRP Ledger has for multi-signing. So we make use of signer list set transaction to create, replace, or remove a list of signers that can be used to multi-sign a transaction. So multi-signing is one of the 3 ways to authorize transactions for the XRP Ledger alongside signing with regular key and master key. You can configure your address to allow any combination of the 3 methods to authorize a transaction. And also please note that these signers can be activated or not even activated XRP Ledger accounts. I'm specifying this because if an account in the signers list is activated, it can even have a regular key and might have its master key disabled. In that case, we will have to sign the transaction using its regular key and not the master key. And I'll show you how to do that in my next video. But if the account is not activated, then its master key is used to sign the transaction. Now let us look at some of the requirements set by XRP Ledger for multi-signing. You can have up to 8 signers, and there is a signer weight for each signers, and combined it has to be greater than or equal to the signer quorum. So for example, if the signer quorum is 10, then you need to specify individual signer weight and the total must be greater than or equal to the signer quorum. Maybe this account has a signer weight of 3, this one 8, and this one 5, or maybe 10. That way only this account's signature is enough to make the transaction, but these 2 accounts cannot make the transactions on their own. They have to both sign to make the transaction, that is 3 plus 8 is 11, which is more than the required weight, which is 10. And when you set a signer list to your account, it increases your account's owner count by 1 regardless of the number of signers in the signer list. So you will have to reserve one owner reserve number of XRP, which is 2 XRP as of now. You will get 100% of this reserve back once you remove the signer list from your account. This signer list must have at least 1 member and no more than 8 members. No address may appear more than once in this list, nor may the account submitting the transaction appear in the list. You cannot create a signer list such that the signer quorum could never be met. And also note that the signer quorum must be greater than 0 and less than or equal to the sum of the signer weight values in the list. Otherwise, the transaction fails with an error. An account cannot have more than 1 signer list. You can create, update, or remove a signer list using the master key or its regular key or the current signer list if those methods of signing transactions are available. And one more important thing to keep in mind is that of the fee for multi-signed transactions is significantly higher than the regular signed transactions. It should be at least n plus 1 times the normal transaction cost, where n is the number of signatures you plan to provide. Since most of the times it takes a while to collect signatures from multiple sources, you may want to specify more than the current minimum in case the transaction cost increases in that waiting time frame. And you cannot disable the master key using the multi-sign transaction. And you cannot remove a signer list from an account which has its master key disabled and it doesn't even have a regular key set. You cannot remove the signer list from such an account. In the upcoming videos, let's see how we can use signer list set transaction to create, replace or remove a list of signers that can be used to multi-sign a transaction.